Outside the building, Monty, a very beautiful rose garden. And it's not just any rose garden. There's significance to it, right?
There are. You're going to see a lot of red roses, but in the middle here, you're going to see one white rose plant, and that's where Pete Rose's 4,192nd hit landed. It was a base hit off of Eric Schau, and that made him the all-time hit leader.
And then from that point on, he was forever known, still is, as the hit king. Let's head on inside and take a closer look at the Hall of Fame. Well, we saw where 4,192 landed outside. Inside, a very impressive display that goes 50 feet high worth of baseballs. Explain this.
Yeah, a lot of baseballs in here. Each panel is going to have 140 baseballs in it. And of those 4,256 hits, Joel, I don't know how many of those I either saw in person, watched on TV, or heard on the radio, but it was a pretty big percentage of those. But I didn't realize it was going to be such a tall exhibit. It's amazing.
Yeah, so baseballs representing every one of Pete Rose's career hits. Well, here's a look, Monty, at Pete and maybe one of the greatest lineups in the history of the game. I know you remember the Big Red Machine right during your childhood. Tell us who we have here.
Well, you see Pete over, I think that might be George Foster that he's congratulating, probably after a game-winning home run. Joe Morgan here right by me. Little Joe from Kokomo. We're going to look around here just next. Cesar Geronimo, got Johnny Bench, Davey Concepcion, Ken Griffey Sr., here's the doggy, Tony Perez. This was, again, Joel, this was the Big Red Machine, a team that I grew up watching play baseball, and I probably watched every game I could possibly watch. Back then, not as many games on television, so you couldn't watch as many. I remember all-star games especially. The Reds had a policy, had to wear all black shoes, and because of that, the players couldn't have endorsement deals with Adidas or Nike and these shoe companies, but during the all-star games, they were able to wear these bright white or bright red shoes, and that's one thing I always look forward to was the all-star game every year because the Reds players could not wait to wear those shoes other than the black shoes.
Let's stick with the All-Star theme and move a decade forward. Now, you played for the Reds in '87, and then you were traded to the Royals. The All-Star game was in Cincinnati in 1988. Some of your buddies, right?
Yeah, it was really kind of a breaking point for me in my career, obviously moving over to the American League, playing for the Royals. But Barry Larkin, a player that in 1985, when he was drafted, joined us in Double-A ball, and I had a chance to see him play his entire career, played against Barry in interleague play. And I remember he hit a 3-run home run against me, too. I always never forget those. But, you know, obviously now a Hall of Famer. Sabo was a guy that came out of nowhere and became the Rookie of the Year in 1988. So he had a breakout season that season. And then Danny Jackson was traded from the Royals to the Reds in '88, same year as me, but in two different trades. He was actually traded in a Kirk Stillwell trade. I was in the Van Snyder trade. So there's a little history in '88 in Royals and Reds.
You mentioned Barry Larkin. Is this the jersey? Is this what you guys would have looked like?
This would have been Barry Larkin's first jersey, and this was a team that I played on Double-A baseball in 1984 and then 1985 in Burlington, Vermont. And you talk about a short season. You could go on a road trip and miss the whole summer. That's how cold it was in Burlington.
And then around the other side here, I think you found a little while ago your first ever minor league jersey. Tell us what we have.
Yeah, I never had a chance to get a big league jersey in the Reds Hall of Fame, but my first professional team, the Billings Mustangs, this is a jersey we wore in Billings. And a footnote on this, George Brett and Jamie Quirk began their professional careers in Billings Mustangs as Billings Mustangs as well.
3 jerseys up there, Monty. Bullpen guys, the Nasty Boys.
Yeah, I think it has some significance, Joel, for our Royals this year and even last year because of the HDH. A lot of people talk about the Nasty Boys being the best bullpen in history, and I think we may have the best bullpen in history with the HDH.
Well, we're going to wrap the tour up and just say that so much history here. One of the great museums for baseball in the country. They won their first championship in 1882 in a different league, and then more recently, although it's been a while, right? 1990.
Yeah, 1990. This trophy was the '90 championship trophy, which those Nasty Boys had a lot to do with. They won, and they went wire to wire. They were in first place on the first day of the season, and they won.